Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really unusual situation you've brought us.
Yeah, it's quite the setup. A king, heartbroken over his bird.
His Setsy's right, and then these two men sentenced to death for killing it.
Exactly. And just when it seems like it's all over, there's this sudden claim.
Yeah.
This seemingly impossible solution pops up.
So our sources are these excerpts, pasted texts that drop us right into this dramatic moment.
Right in the thick of it.
And our mission, your deep dive mission, is to unpack this. What's really driving these people? And, is this all miraculous solution even plausible based on what we have?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so first off, the king's grief. It's powerful, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just sadness over a pet bird. This plight, it feels profound. And the consequences are extreme.
For the aid of the animal birds, yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the sentence. And the method initially mirrors the bird's fate burial.
It really tells you something, doesn't it? Either about the king's stability or maybe just how incredibly important this specific bird was to him.
It's pretty intense. And then there's their final request, which is just odd.
Right. Facing death, and their main concern is telling their families they died in a sea storm.
Why lie like that? What does that tell us about them? Or maybe about the shame attached to this particular crime in their society?
Well, that's where Shimonkani comes in. He's observed.
We picks up on this weirdness.
Exactly. No hard evidence, just intuition. That story doesn't quite track,
Yeah.
It makes it suspicious.
Why hide the real reason, even at the end?
And then we find out why. Through Blight Sekiwatani. It's actually quite heartbreaking.
He says it's to spare their families the pain, the shame, knowing they did something considered so awful.
It really humanizes them, doesn't it? Suddenly they're not just villains. They're thinking about their loved ones.
Yeah, it puts a different spin on the whole bird killing thing. Was it malice or something else?
It definitely adds a layer of ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, it seems to spark something in the king, too.
A moment of doubt.
Yeah, like, wait a minute. Is killing a bird, even this bird, worth killing two men? You see that conflict, revenge versus maybe a flicker of mercy.
His grief, his desire to avenge his beloved bird. It seems really strong, though.
It is. That flicker of doubt gets, well, pretty much stamped out by his grief, which leads to the next escalation.
The change in execution method, they start digging the grave.
And then someone suggests burning them instead. Just wipe them out completely.
Erase any trace. It's much harsher.
It really shows how grief, when it's that intense, can just spiral. It's not just punishment anymore. It's annihilation.
And the king, he agrees instantly. Doesn't want to see them again, just wants it done. Driven purely by emotion, it seems.
Totally. But then, right as they're ready to go ahead.
Boom. Nancy C shouts out, I have a solution.
Talk about a plot twist. Just sheer audacity. Everyone must have just frozen.
Imagine the tension. What could he possibly mean?
It's a desperation meeting. Yeah, something totally unexpected. And notice, he immediately tries to take control. He asks for a private audience with the king. Straight away.
Right. Suggests it's not something for public consumption. Maybe it's a bit out there.
Could be. And his first question is fascinatingly philosophical. Not about the bird, not directly.
What does he ask?
Do you believe the soul is immortal?
Wow. Okay, why start there? What's the angle?
It seems like he's trying to shift the ground, connect with the king on this deeper, maybe spiritual level. Find common ground based on belief.
And does the king believe it?
Yes, he affirms it. Believes souls are immortal. And that belief becomes the linchpin for Bidrup's next move.
He's setting him up. Clever. What's next?
The really crucial question. Are you absolutely certain, he asks, that this Blanali is yours?
Hitting the core issue. Planting a seed of doubt about the facts themselves.
Exactly. Could there have been a mistake? The king is confident, though. He remembers the bird bringing him fruit, believes it would have returned.
But that certainty, could that make him vulnerable to suggestion now? Especially if he wants to believe.
And that's when Debakan drops the bombshell.
Which is...
We can bring the Bamba back to life.
What? Seriously. How does the king even react to that?
Shock. Disbelief, you'd imagine. It sounds completely impossible.
I'll say, is this just a desperate lie?
Well, before he explains how, Tebokim plays another card. He demands utessency. Protection.
He needs a guarantee before he reveals his method. That's bold. He's banking on the king's hope.
And it works. The king grants the assurance, which tells you just how desperate the king must be for any chance, however slim, to get his bird back.
So what's the supposed method?
She doesn't give a practical method yet, but he invokes a story. A very famous one, apparently, about Behula.
Who's that?
A figure from their myths, their folklore. She famously brought her dead husband back to life through sheer devotion.
Okay, so he's using a legend, a precedent for resurrection.
Precisely. He's tapping into the king's cultural beliefs, suggesting, look, impossible things have happened. He's asking the king to lean into that belief system.
Does the king know the story?
Yes, he confirms he knows it and believes it. It validates the possibility in the king's mind, even if it's legendary.
So Bidrup is basically saying, if Bahula could do it, maybe we can too. And reiterates his promise to return the bird's life.
Yes, and then he pivots again, tries to reframe the original act.
How? Back to the killing itself.
Yeah, he questions if it was really betrayal, or maybe just a mistake, an accident. Maybe they didn't recognize it was the king's special bird.
Ah, the mistaken identity defense, trying to lessen the crime.
Exactly. It wasn't a conspiracy, Your Majesty. It was a terrible accident.
Yeah,
And you can see this gives the king pause. He starts thinking.
thinking. Maybe the bird could come back. Maybe it was just a mistake.
That seed of hope, combined with the possibility of error, it's powerful. And the king, clearly clinging to that hope.
He decides to go along with it, to see what happens.
Yes, he asks what needs to be done.
And what does Bidrup ask for?
A secluded place. Just them, no one else around, and provisions, enough to stay there for a while.
Setting the stage for, well, for whatever this plan actually is, we're left hanging.
Absolutely. So wrapping this part up for you, we've gone from a definite execution to this wild promise of bringing the bird back. The huge question left hanging is, can they actually do it?
What do you think? Is Bidrup just a brilliant, desperate liar? Or is something else going on here? Was it really a mistake? Or was it malicious?
It really puts you in the king's shoes, doesn't it? Do you trust this?
Yeah.
Is your belief in souls and legends enough?
Or is that belief exactly what's making him vulnerable to being fooled? It says so much about how grief and hope can twist things.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff to think about. Justice, belief, desperation, how far people will go. It really leaves you wondering what happens next in that secluded room.